I really think that 24 years is not enough time. Um, but yeah, I'm already sad about it ending.
That's flutist Claire Chase. This is Classical Gas, a podcast series produced by Classical Voice North America. I'm Gail Wine. Claire Chase embarked on a Herculean project a few years ago to expand the repertoire for flute by commissioning nearly 100 new works over 24 years. She calls the project Density 2036. It's inspired by a seminal work for solo flute by Edgar Varese that has fascinated Chase since childhood. For the project, Chase is determined to create an entirely new program for flute each year, ending in 2036, the centennial of Varese's work. Her intent is to reimagine solo flute literature over a quarter century through commissions, performances, and recordings. She's at the midpoint of the project, and there are already dozens of new compositions by Terry Riley, Pamela Z, Vijay Iyer, Lisa Lim, and others. Ever since you started this project, Density 2036, I've been fascinated by how much time you're devoting, a quarter century, to this one 4 minute piece, essentially, or inspired by this 4 minute piece. So, what is so special about Density 21.5 by Varese that makes you want to devote so much time to it?
Well, the truth is that I don't think a whole lot these days about the piece. I love the piece. It's deeply, deeply important to me. It's like an anthem. I have admiration for it. I have reverence for it. But the project is about a question that's propelled by density. But the question has already catapulted the repertoire and the collaborators I've worked with and the body of work that I hope that I'm making over this quarter century into new terrain. And the question really is like, what will the density of the 21st century be? What will that piece or that collection of pieces that multiplies the possibilities of the instrument and its player, the repertory, the concert experience, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? What will that piece or that collection of pieces be for our time? What this project is doing, and what I hope it'll continue doing for this length of 24 years, is to multiply the possible responses to that question and to generate many, many new ideas, many new ways of thinking about this ancient instrument. What I ask people to engage with is what they don't know about the flute, what they don't know about its possibilities, its players. And I ask them to engage with me so that I can explore what I don't know about this instrument that I love so much and about its many possibilities. So that's the work as I see it. It's a line of inquiry. It's a research project. It's not like running to the finish line of 2036.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm kind of floored by the that you say what I don't know about my instrument, and I think, how could you not know something about your instrument after playing it for however many years that you've been alive, -5 or something like that. Um, but what is it you don't know about your own instrument?
Yeah, everything. I mean, the beautiful thing about spending a lifetime trying to figure out how to most purposefully create a column of air that goes through an object and tells a story wordlessly and touches people in the deepest part of their souls. That's a lifetime of exploration, and I'm always going to be a beginner at that. And the more I know, the more technique I developed, the more tools that I'm able to amass in my toolkit, the deeper that question becomes, and the more I'm confronted with how much of a beginner I am, because there's so much creative power there. When we shed this notion that we know what we're doing or we're supposed to know what we're doing. We really don't. We're making it all up.
And now you've gotten me a little obsessed about density 21.5. Um, what's the big deal about a platinum flute? Does it sound different? Why? How? What special qualities does Varese or did Varese exploit in this piece?
It's such a great question. I mean, the platinum flute it's a dense metal, right? It's denser than gold. It's soft, it's pliable, and so it is at once much louder, right? The way that it resonates creates a capacity for projection in a large hall that is it's really tremendous for the player to be able to have that power, right? That just pure volume power. It is also, I find, so much easier to play incredibly soft, tender, intimate dynamics on it. The range, the dynamic range is also pliable.
Mhm.
Um, I think what was so pivotal about Varese and this piece, writing for this flute in 1936, was that the metal itself inspired him to write his only solo piece. I think the metal itself and its unknown qualities inspired him to go further and to write this piece that changed it changed everything. It changed our understanding of what the flute was capable of. It was a model of a different kind of solo performance that we didn't have a lot of in at that time. Um, and it was a spark plug, if you will, for the metal itself was a spark plug for this creative intervention. I'll give you an example. Right now, I'm working with the composer Annea Lockwood on the newest density cycle that'll be premiered this fall. And we're working with bamboo water flutes. This instrument that I'm learning how to play for this project. They're flutes that can be dipped in water, the pitch changes, the whole color palette changes when they're dipped in water. And there are no keys, there are no levers. It's just six holes. And so my challenge and our challenge collaboratively is to figure out how to open up a whole world of sound on these instruments that um, I'm brand new at. It's less about the preciousness of it and more about what it ignited in Varese's imagination and what it could then ignite in future generations of creators' imaginations.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's already so much music for flute, I say as a bassoonist. Why do you feel it's important to expand the repertoire and create so many new works?
Well, there's so much repertoire, yes. In terms of the seminal pieces, the pieces that really shape uh, a generation of thinking around what this instrument is capable of, it's still a small list. I include works the the Bach A minor partita, Syrinx, of course, Boulez Sonatine, 1947, Berlioz from the early 50s, Varese, and works of Sarino and Sarino and Sariajo later in the 20th century. In terms of works that are widely played, widely programmed, widely understood, and that become repertoire pieces, the list is still really small. And so I'm really interested in what I can do as a player to multiply the possibilities.
Um, for this project, how do you choose the composers that you're commissioning and what direction do you give them?
Well, I'm always looking. I'm always looking. I'm always scouting. I'm always listening. And I'm always looking for people who I think are going to be interested in this challenge, as I shared with you, the challenge of making something uh, that goes beyond their knowledge. Certainly their knowledge of the flute, but that goes beyond their compositional patterns, defaults, successes. That's really the only rule of my collaborative approach is that we all try to depart as much as possible from those places that are deeply comfortable. Not because there's anything wrong with comfort, but because I don't think it's a place from which very interesting work is made. So that's really the only parameter that I give. What I'm looking for in people, and this is true of people who are seasoned composers. I mean, we've had some sort of, contemporary music household names in the project, like George Lewis and Paulina Loveros, um, Annea Lockwood this year. But importantly, just as importantly to me, there are a lot of folks in the catalog for whom this was one of their first commissions. Folks who were not known before this project. And that's really important to me too. So overall, over the span of 24 years, I'm looking for a truly international and truly multi-generational group. Also looking for diverse and divergent practices of notation and improvisation and the whole continuum in between and beyond. And I try not to limit myself stylistically or aesthetically. I try to, in fact, go towards the very things that are confronting and different
Mhm.
for me. So I really think that 24 years is not enough time. Um, but yeah, I'm already sad about it ending.
It's more than a decade away, so you're good to go. I'm curious, what has surprised you or disappointed you in some of the resulting compositions over the years?
I mean, I'm surprised. I'm surprised every time. I think of each one of these pieces as as a family member, as a child, or a sibling, or an aunt, or an uncle, or a grandmother. They all have kind of different familial associations for me, and like all families and all family dynamics and relationships, they're complex. Um, but I love every single one, and each one has changed me as a player and as a thinker. Um, so I mean, I can go into detail about any number of them, but overall, nothing has ever disappointed me. Everything has, in the end, thrilled me, and challenged me deeply. And that's, I mean, part of the reason that's the case, I think, is because I invest so much time in the process. What's primary for me is the process of making the piece, the way that we change, me, the composer, the other collaborators in the process, the way that listeners change. For example, Marcos Balter's piece from 2017, um, I continue editing and changing and refining this piece every time I perform it. Performed it recently at Ojai, and I spent 3 months rearranging, reorchestrating, and editing the piece. And
Wait, is that okay with Marcos?
yeah, Marcos is done with his part of it. He comes to the dress rehearsal of the show and he gives comments, but um, he's at peace with that, and that's part of our collaborative process. The piece itself, because it involves community members, it's scored for flute and electronics and a chorus of dozens to possibly many hundreds when we have the resources of community members of all ages. It kind of the only responsible way to present that work is to reassemble it, rethink it, and revise it for every performance. So that's a living, breathing entity that changes wildly from performance to performance. And so when I'm that involved and I'm that committed to the process, there's no way that I can't be fulfilled by it and thrilled by it and challenged by it and fed creatively by it, um, because that process is the work.
Mhm. Um, what are the next performances that you're doing? And who are the next batch of composers that you're commissioning?
Yeah, well, Annea Lockwood, as I mentioned, is the Density 2025 composer, and our project will be premiered. The dates haven't been announced yet, but it's going to be the second week, at some point, the second week of December at the Kitchen. The Kitchen has been my longtime partner for many of these projects. And the name of that piece is Elwa. It's we like to talk about it as a three-way collaboration between me and Annea and the Elwa River in the Olympic National Forest. Yeah, I mean the river is just alive with music. Annea and I have been recording at different areas of the river for the last year and a half. And and using the rich pitch rhythmic motivic contrapuntal music of this river as jumping off points for compositions and improvisations and structures in the piece. So that's the most immediate thing on the horizon. Next year, I'm not quite ready to announce the composers yet, but we'll make an announcement probably around the time of the LWAP premiere. And I'm deep in discussion with composers and possible collaborators for the 2027 and 2028 and 2029 and 2030 projects. And I say those words 2030, and I'm like, oh no, then there's only another 6 years left. My heart, what am I going to do?
That is one of my questions, actually. After 2036, what are you going to do with yourself?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't make plans that far out. I can tell you what I wish, what I hope. I mean, I hope very much that the repertory that's been created is by that point in the hands of many, many different flutists, and at that point, multiple generations of flutists. Um, and I hope that I can devote a lot more energy to supporting those performances and those explorations. I'm getting to do a little bit of that with the Density Fellows program. There are 10 early career flutists each year that work with me on a density project or projects. They have modest resources through this fellowship to put together performances or recordings. And it's so much fun. I mean, the future is very bright. Getting to work with these folks who are from 9 different countries this year. It's just a thrill for me. And I learned so much. It's like learning these pieces all over again. So my hope is that by 2036, I'll have a lot more time to be supporting and amplifying the folks who have taken on these projects and are taking them in their own directions.
These Density Fellows, they are part of the nonprofit organization that you founded, Density Arts. So, what is Density Arts' purpose besides supporting this project of commissioning and performances and the fellows, I guess now too?
Yeah, yeah. Well, increasingly the focus of the organization is educational. It's also archival. Um, but it's also more broadly about advancing the flute and its literature. I'm very interested in building new nonprofit arts models that involve expertise outside of the fields of the arts, which I think we very much need, especially at this geopolitical moment. Um, and yeah, it's a thrill to work with them.
Yeah, and Density Arts, that will keep going after 2036?
That's my hope. Yes. My hope is that it goes on forever.
Claire Chase is at the midpoint of a 24-year-long commissioning project inspired by Edgar Varese's Density. She'll perform a world premiere by Annea Lockwood at The Kitchen in New York City in December 2025. This is Classical Gas. I'm Gail Wine, producer and host of this podcast series. Thanks for listening.